Hello, I'm Tim. Welcome to WatchBox, and thanks for logging on today. It is my pleasure to introduce the newest member of the WatchBox team, an industry legend, the Jedi version of me, Mr. Jack Forster. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I don't think anybody's ever called me a Jedi anything, but I appreciate the compliment.
So let me just ask you about this. Curation is the coin of the realm in the world of watches, whether it's on the commercial side selling them or on the media side covering them. Could you talk a little bit about what you foresee your role being with WatchBox to better explain the watches, their origin, what makes them so gripping?
Well, I mean, I think that I think we can take that question and basically turn it into a statement. I mean, that's what I hope to do and what I've done in one form or another pretty much for the entire time that I've been lucky enough to cover watches. Some of the most fascinating, unusual, and in many respects unique products on Earth. What I've always tried to do is look at a watch and say to myself, not do I like it or don't I, but what is it that makes this watch interesting? What story is this watch trying to tell? What were the intentions of the people or person who created this watch, and how well does the watch fulfill those intentions? You know, because individual taste is a very poor sort of frame, I've always felt, is a very poor frame to put around presenting a watch and trying to understand a watch. So you really have to kind of come to the watch on its own terms first. And I think that's, you know, to me anyway, that's really kind of the essence of curation. It's sort of saying to yourself, you know, what is this watch trying to come across? You know, what is the identity that it's trying to establish for itself, and how well does it do it? And the fascinating thing about approaching watches from a curatorial aspect, from that perspective, is that it varies enormously from one watch to the next. So each one has its, you know, you don't evaluate a Rolex sports model the way you do I don't know, late 1990s Audemars Piguet Dynamograph, you know, Grand Sonnerie, for instance, or the same way that you would evaluate a Dufour Simplicity. So curation is really about, I think, shining a light on what's already there and on what's specifically interesting. You know, I mean, it's sort of like the old adage about what sculpture actually is. You know, carving in marble is just taking away all of the bits of stone that aren't the actual statue. And I feel like the curation of watches, especially fine watchmaking, you know, at this level, I feel like that's what it's about. It's about peeling away the things that lie between you and seeing the watch for what it really is.
Now, I've always been asked, Tim, how do you review thousands of watches a year that you don't personally want or intend to buy? And I say, I want to be an advocate for the watch. I want to bring out the best in it, explain it in full, and then let you decide whether it's for you. Because you shouldn't be shaped by my tastes. You need the full account of what it is. Like you said, freeing the form from the marble. I want to bring out the best in the watch and then let you decide if that is for you.
Yeah, and it's a very tricky thing because on the one hand, people really do want to sort of know what you think. But on the other hand, one of the big advantages to being a watch enthusiast nowadays is how quickly you can acquire information. I mean, people can learn as much, if they're serious, they can learn as much about watches in 6 months as I did in probably the first, 10 years that I was interested in watches. I mean, it's not about going through old auction catalogs anymore, going to libraries or ordering obscure books in languages that you barely understand. You know, you could just go on the internet and you can find these really incredible resources built by people who absolutely love their particular subject matter. But the downside to it, and I don't know if it's a downside so much as it is just kind of a necessary aspect of modern watch connoisseurship, it's that it's very, very easy to start doing things because you think it's what you should do. It's very easy to start liking things because you think is what you should like, rather than developing your own taste. And, you know, I mean, this happens in pretty much every department. I mean, you see it happen to people who get into men's style for the first time, right? You know, they look through, fashion magazines, they look online, they look and, see what people are wearing at PD. And they sort of say to themselves, okay, well, that's obviously what shows that I have good taste. And there's a difference between trying to show that you have good taste and actually developing taste of your own. And the great thing about developing taste of your own is that hopefully you reach a point where you really don't care what anybody else thinks because you know what you like, you know what you prefer, but that can take a while. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of sort of social pressure nowadays in watch collecting circles that certainly wasn't there in the pre-internet days. And being able to sort of go through that and say to yourself, well, wait, like I don't necessarily need to even start out with stainless steel sports watches if that's not what I'm into. I think it's much harder to do that than it used to be.
Without a doubt, and I've always rejected labels like influencer or tastemaker because to me there's something tawdry and lowbrow about the idea that I'm just going to guide someone like a pig to slaughter. That's not what I want at all. Yeah, I think for me, what I want to do is
or a
say,
guest to a feast or whatever.
yeah, that's a feast of pig. Right. Exactly. So I've always said, let me be the guru, but I want you to have your own mantra. I want you to understand these watches on your terms and love them on your terms. And I don't ever want to guide you to the wrong watch that you're going to hate, just so we can have a means to an end. And I think that's a real big part of what you're going to be doing with WatchBox. Bring out the best in the watch, tell the full story, and then allow the collector to choose his own ending.
Right, right. And I mean, it's really, that's sort of the only ethical way to communicate, I think, because if you're trying to influence somebody to specifically make a particular decision to buy a particular thing, that's salesmanship, but there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with salesmanship, per se. I mean, there are millions of people throughout the world who do a wonderful job as salesmen, but if you're approaching watches from a curatorial aspect, I think it's really, really important to, as you say, I mean, you have to know from the outset and make it clear from the outset that the people that you're working with, the people you're talking to, they have to understand that you're one of them, you have the same questions that they do, and that you have as much invested in their being able to build their knowledge and make up their own mind as you had invested in building up your knowledge so that you could make up your own mind.
Okay, so let's make this a little bit more immediate to our audience out there, because we're all enthusiasts and collectors here. Jack, do you have a Grail watch, and what is it?
On any given day, I probably have half a dozen Grail watches. I mean, one of my Grail watches has always been anything by Roger Smith, and the list is long, the price is high, but they are truly, truly, truly. I find them truly beautiful expressions of a very classic approach to watchmaking as a combination of hand craftsmanship and trying to find both interesting and practical solutions in chronometry. So I'm kind of like obsessed with precision timekeeping. And you can come up with all sorts of weird Rube Goldberg-esque solutions to problems in precision timekeeping. But like the truth is, nowadays, a really high quality lever escapement watch is very hard to beat. And one of the things that I love about Roger's work is that he's taken George Daniels' escapement, he's continued to evolve it, he's continued to refine it, and he's continued to do that in an aesthetic idiom that is 100% connected to the history of the escapement. So the watch is on a single continuum of both design language and engineering vision from inside and out. And like, to me, that's what makes, kind of the perfect watch. The other thing that I would love to do is I would love to commission a repeater from Philippe Dufour, which may be the most unrealistic watch aspiration that I or anyone has ever expressed. But in a perfect world.
In a perfect world, and then there is the next generation, Daniela, never say never.
Yeah.
So I think everyone can relate to Jack. We're all dyed-in-the-wool watch lovers. We live this stuff, we breathe this stuff, we sleep it, and we dream about it. Jack is going to be continuing to work on the video side with WatchBox, as well as his original métier, which is the written word. We're excited about this collaboration. It is the most exciting arrival for me since I've been at WatchBox. One of my horological heroes, Jack Forster, welcome to the team.
Thank you so much, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here.